So there are so many ways to finish off your binding on a quilt. I like to always sew my binding with my machine. So I'm going to show you how I do that with all my quilts. First of all, I cut my strips 2.5 inches long. I fold them over, and then what I do is I open it up, and then I cut a 45-degree angle here on the, and that's the one I start with. Well, I actually leave about a tail of about 6 inches or more, and then you can see I start down here. So I sew all the way around, and then I come back here, and you can see this is, where I've left off right here, and I'm leaving, this is all the binding I have left. So that's good. You just need to make sure that it's gonna come at least to, you got to cover this up, so you want it at least to come along here. As you can see, I have plenty, so I'm good to go. So this is how I do my binding, is I come around, and then I sort of let's get this one out of the way. So then I just sort of lay this flat, pretend that it is sewn, and then I gently open it up like this. Now, if I were to keep it like that, I feel like it kind of could stretch a little bit, this binding. So what I do is, let's smooth this out again here, is I gently unfold it like that, and then I take sort of the end where it is actually sewn, and I kind of just bring it up so it's not pulling at all. I'm holding this in place against the fabric, against the edge of the quilt, like so. And then over here on this side, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. Hold on, I'm just going to move this out. What I want to do is, if I were to trace this, and I want to like put these on top of one another so it looks like this. So you can see this here. And then when I open this side up like that, I want to trace along that line. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to pull this side up just a little bit so it's not feeling like it's stretched. And I open it up. Now, it's probably hard to see on the camera, but there's the edge there. And I literally just take a Choco pen liner, or you could take some other marking tool, and I follow this along like this. So that's where this little edge comes in. Then I take a ruler, and here's my little ruler, and I want to make sure that I go further out. I need that extra 1/2 inch seam allowance. Don't do it on this side, because then you're going to cut it extra short. You want to do it on this side of the line, so you're giving yourself extra. So I'm going to line up this line that I just drew with this 1/2 inch line here. So I'm just going to do that here. So I want to make sure that it's all straight and get that 1/2 inch line. There it is. I can see right there that it's lining up. I know it's kind of hard to see on camera. And then I'm going to take my liner here again, and I'm just right against the edge. I'm going to mark another line. Take it away. Now you can see I have 2 lines. This is the original line. This is my cut line. So I'm actually literally going to cut this off now. And my scissors. I'm literally going to cut this off now on this line, just like this. And just discard the rest. Now what I'm going to do is, so what you're going to be left with is something that looks like this. They don't quite match, but what you got to do is now you got to sew these together. But you don't want to sew them so that they are matchy on the sides here. You actually want, like you can tell by the folded, the middle point here where you've ironed it, you don't want to have them touching. You don't want to have them touching like that. You do want them overlapping a little bit, like a 1/4 inch, because that's what you're going to sew. you're going to sew a 1/4 inch. You're going to have a little, whoops, you're going to have a little 1/4 inch poking out corner like that. And then on this side, kind of as well, like that. So I'm just going to put a little pin in here. Whoops, get my pins. Just going to put a little pin in here because as I move it over to under my needle, I just don't want it to shift. And then just gently fold it over like this. Oops, take it to your needle and oops, you are going to sew. You want that needle to go right, I don't know if you can see, but right in there. Right in there is where you want the needle to come down and start sewing your 1/4 inch all the way down here. So that's what we're going to do. See, it goes right down there. And I'm just going to take that pin out now. I'm not a big pin person. I also have this washi tape here that shows me the 1/4 inch, so I can just like follow that line now. You want to be careful not to stretch it because you've done it on the bias. You've cut it on the bias, and that could stretch it a little bit. But it is actually a bit forgiving, so you don't have to be super perfect. So now you have attached it like this. When you go to pull it straight out, you'll notice it's joined. It's actually joined. And I usually just finger press this like this, like so. Sure. And then I can sew my binding on. And there, I've joined it. You can't even tell. I have no hand stitching that I had to do. I just have to sew the seam right along here. And I finished. And you won't even tell where the beginning was and where the end was. So that's how I do my machine binding.